In this video, we are gonna go over the process for production of Balefire. Now, Balefire is a late game material in HBMs mod which is very radioactive and hot but is also very powerful and is essential for crafting very strong items such as Euphemium. Now, this process is going to be tad bit lengthy and also complicated, so make sure that you don't skip any part of this video. For this, we are gonna require an RBMK reactor and also a lot of gold. So yeah, without any further ado guys, let's get straight into it and see how to produce this material from the very scratch. So Balefire production will mainly consist of 3 stages. Stage 1 will be converting gold into its radioactive isotope form which is gold 198. In stage 2, we will combine this gold 198 with antimatter and also ionized particles in order to obtain Flashgold. And in stage 3, this Flashgold will be converted into Flashgold RBMK rods which will then be depleted in an RBMK reactor and recycled in a silex to obtain the thermonuclear ashes which will give us our Balefire. So let's start with stage 1, shall we? So stage 1 is converting gold into gold 198, and for that you are gonna need a lot of gold ingots. So this is a simple setup that I have here in which I'm gonna process my gold ore in a centrifuge which will triple the ore or basically give me 3 gold powders which will then be burnt in a furnace. So let's see this process. As soon as I start placing the gold ore in there, it will be transported into the centrifuge. And the centrifuge will process this gold ore and give me 3 gold powder. So there we have a 3 gold powder which will then be transported into this RTG furnace. So this is our basic simple ore tripling here. You can also quadruple this ore if you have access to the ore acidizer, but yeah, just make sure that you are using the most efficient process that you can. Now while we are converting this gold ore into gold ingots, let's build the RBMK reactor. Now before we get any further, a big thanks to the RBMK legend himself for providing me with this design. So this is the layout that we are going to use, and in order to start building this reactor, first let's place down 6 big ass tanks. And in each big ass tank, place down an heavy infinite water barrel and also set them with the water fluid identifier. You are going to need a lot of water for powering this reactor. So these are 6 big ass tanks with heavy infinite water barrels in them. Now that the water tanks are set, let's start building the reactor itself. So the blue rods or the blue ones are gonna be the steam channels, red is fuel rods, yellow is gonna be the irradiation column, violet is for neutron reflectors, and brown is for neutron absorbers. So I'm gonna speed this process up. You can take a screenshot or pause the video, do whatever you would like to do, and yeah. The reactor design is pretty simple. So this reactor consists of total 36 steam channels and 8 fuel rods, 1 irradiation channel, 4 neutron absorbers and 8 neutron reflectors. And there, the basic design of the reactor is complete. Now set each and every steam channel to dense steam and double check that this is dense steam, otherwise you are gonna lock the steam in there, causing the reactor to blow up. So once the reactor has been set to dense steam, all the steam channels have been set to dense steam, let's link this reactor to an RBMK console in order to double check whether all these steam channels are dense steam or not. Now next step will be covering all the channels and all the components of the RBMK reactor with RBMK cover. Just leave the fuel rods as we are gonna cover the fuel rods with glass covers instead of normal RBMK covers. And there we have completed the RBMK design. Now break all the temporary blocks that we placed down, as now it's time to connect the fluid ducts down on the RBMK reactor. Now save yourself some time and instead of placing fluid ducts on only the steam channels, just make an entire net of fluid ducts down there. Don't leave any block, just place them all down there and it will save you a ton of time. And do the very same thing for the steam channels, the steam connectors and the steam pipes as well. And make sure that the steam pipes that you place are dense steam pipes, as dense steam is what we have set all of our boilers to. I'm just gonna use World Edit in order to speed this process up. And with that, we have connected all the pipes to the RBMK reactor. Now let's connect the tanks with the RBMK reactor, and before we do that, just set all the tanks to input-output mode, which is the green mode here, and then run a pipe in middle and extend this pipe all the way back to the RBMK reactor. There we go. And with this, all the steam channels should start filling up with water. Now place down 2 turbines, as we are only gonna need 2 here because of dense steam and normal steam. So the first turbine is dense steam, second turbine is normal steam. And with 2 turbines, also place down 2 cooling towers intersecting the tanks and the turbines. So here we have our 2 cooling towers. Now let's start connecting them. So take out the dense steam from the RBMK reactor and connect it to the first turbine. The first turbine's output is gonna be normal steam, which is then gonna be converted into low pressure steam. The low pressure steam is gonna go into both of the cooling towers so that there is an equal distribution. And the low pressure steam will be then converted into water, which we are gonna pump into 3 tanks. So one cooling tower is gonna supply water to 3 of the tanks, and the other cooling tower is gonna supply the water to other 3 water tanks. There we go. Now start placing down low enriched plutonium fuel rods in all the fuel channels of the RBMK reactor and leave only one fuel rod in them. So place down fuel rods in 7 of the channels and leave one channel empty. Now in this channel, we are gonna place down a neutron source in order to start the reaction itself. And also don't forget to place down gold ingots in the irradiation channel. So in the irradiation channel there, we have placed down our gold ingots, and now we are ready to begin the reaction. So the one fuel rod that we left, place down a neutron source in there. And as soon as you do that, that should kickstart all of the fuel rods. There. All the rods are now active. So you can take out the neutron source and replace it with the low enriched plutonium fuel rod. There. And with this, our RBMK reactor is up and running. You can check the stats of the reactor using the console that we set before. And yeah, the reactor should be fine with this much water. And as you can see, the gold has already started converting into its radioactive form, which is gold 198. There. Now the more flux this reactor has, the faster the conversion will be. Now this gold 198 is an extremely hot and radioactive material, so be very sure that you have the best hazmat protection that you can get your hands on, otherwise you are gonna die pretty quickly with this. So I'm gonna take my reacher and take these gold ingots out here. Now with these gold 198 ingots, what you need to do is place them in a crafting table so we can form billets first from these ingots. So place them down in a crafting crate. Here we go. Each gold ingot, or basically 2 gold ingots, will give you 3 gold billets. So we have a total of 6, and from these 6 we are gonna get 9 gold billets. Now gold billets, when combined with antimatter and also ionized particles, will give you Flashgold billet. So here I have some antimatter and ionized particles, by the way, can be obtained from a fusion reactor. And this will give you the Flashgold billet. Take them out. And then we can combine the Flashgold billet with an empty RBMK rod. So place down 8 Flashgold billets with an empty RBMK rod, and that will give you one Flashgold RBMK fuel rod. And with this, we enter the stage 3 of production. Now replace any corner fuel rod. Not the corner fuel rod, more like the fuel rod which is placed in front of the absorber, not the reflector. Make sure that you do not replace any low enriched plutonium rod which is in front of the reflector. Only replace the rod which is in front of the absorber. And replace this rod with the Flashgold RBMK fuel rod. Now we need to do this process for all the 4 fuel rods, or basically for all the 4 positions which are in front of the absorbers. And please be very sure that you do not replace any other fuel rod which is in front of the reflector. If you do that, the temperature is gonna go up and the reactor will explode. So these are the 4 fuel rods that we need to replace with the Flashgold rods. And now once you replace them, you need to wait until the rods are at least 1% depleted. So it has been some time since the reactor has been running, and all the Flashgold rods are nearing 1% depletion. There. So the rods have now started depleting over 1%. And that means we can take them out for recycling. But first we need to cool these rods down. And yeah, once again, be very careful while handling these rods. Otherwise it's gonna get really ugly real fast. So take this fuel rod which is depleted over 1% and place it down in a spent fuel pool drum, and its temperature will start going down quickly. But still, it is a long process until you get the skin and the core temperature down to 50 degrees Celsius. The temperature should be below 50 degrees Celsius, both the skin and the core temperature. So it took me around half an hour to get the temperature to 50 degrees Celsius. And once the skin temperature and the core temperature reaches that mark, you can take out the fuel rod for recycling. Now I'm gonna switch my game mode to survival, as you need to be in survival in order to do this, by the way. So take the fuel rod and place it in the 2x2 crafting grid, and that will give you 8 Flashgold fuel pellets. Now you can place these fuel pellets inside a silex, and the silex, by the way, also requires hydrogen peroxide to run. And the silex will start processing these fuel pellets. Now with 1% depletion, there is a very less chance that we get thermonuclear ashes. By the way, there is only a 10% chance of getting the thermonuclear ashes. The more depleted the fuel pellets are, the higher the chance of getting the thermonuclear ashes are, which I will show you guys in a little bit. So here are all the fuel pellets of different depletion levels. So the minimum depletion will mean only a 10% chance of getting the thermonuclear ashes. Now we get to the barely depleted pellets, which will have a 30% chance of getting the thermonuclear ashes. Next up, there is the moderately depleted pellets, which have a 50% chance. After that, we have the highly depleted pellets, which have a 70% chance. And finally, there are the fully depleted pellets, which have a 90% chance of getting the thermonuclear ashes. So the more depleted your rods are, the better it is. Now once you have the thermonuclear ashes from the silex, you can craft them into a Balefire shard, which can then be used to craft the Balefire egg, the Balefire launcher, or the fuel rods and the Balefire fuel itself. So yeah, that is how you obtain Balefire in HBMs mod. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, do smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Peace out guys.